Uh, and let's see. Why don't we go to the library and then we can just finish this up there?
Okay, sure, let's go.
Alright, let's do it. Where did we leave off?
Oh yeah, I think we're talking about DNA and genes.
Alright, I remember that. Okay, so our body's made up of billions, trillions of cells, right? Okay, so here is what a cell generally looks like. A ball. And inside the ball is the nucleus. And it's the center of all activity. And inside that is our DNA. The DNA itself looks kind of like this. Roughly. Obviously not perfect. You can see how there's two lines right here that are intertwining. These are two different strands. That's what we call these, strands. And because they're together, going around each other, we call them double-stranded. And in between each of the strands are hydrogen bonds that hold the two strands together. These lines represent the different hydrogen bonds in the DNA. And hydrogen bonds themselves are what measures the DNA. And there can be up to 1 billion hydrogen bonds in one DNA strand.
What? In every cell?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Okay, well, see, our DNA is like a code that our body will break open and read. It will tell the body how it'll work, what we'll look like, if we will have brown hair or blonde hair, if we'll be tall, if we'll be short. A word for this code is called, we call it our genotype. Everybody has a genotype, and it's different. Does that make sense?
Well, my genotype, is Levi. But my brother, his Calvin Klein.
Really? I'm more of kind of a gap kind of a... Well, it's not what that means. Okay, alright. Genotype is like our genetic recipe. It is made up of different individual ingredients, and those ingredients we call our traits. They all come together to make our genotype. Okay, now our genotype comes from two different sources. It comes from our mother and our father. And you know how that works, right?
How so?
I mean, you know about reproduction, right? Where babies come from.
Hospital? Wow! What? That's disgusting, man.
Okay, dude, it's genetics. Okay, just get used to it. All right, we've got we've got our mom here and our dad. Okay, and from you, that's where you came from, and then you are kind of a mixture of both of those. In other words, like, for instance, maybe you got your mom's height, whereas you got your dad's face structure. It's just genetics, okay, man? It's really not that big of a deal.
Oh yeah, I understand. That's science, right? Yeah, man. Well, but I still don't understand, what does it have to do with DNA?
Okay, well, that is a good question. So, first off, you have to understand that everybody has two sets of DNA in their body. One coming from the father and one coming from the mother. So with your parents, your dad has one strand or set of DNA coming from his mother, and so does your mother. She has a strand of DNA from her mother. And then your dad has another strand of DNA, and this comes from his father. And your mother also has another strand of DNA. This comes from her father. and together they combine and make them look the way they do. And then when they passed, or well, when they created you, they each passed on a mixture of these two different DNA strands into you. You got one from your father, and then you got one from your mother. Okay, and this is the reason why you look the way you do.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Well, I understand that my parents have two sets of DNA, and I have two sets of DNA too, but I don't understand how it is passed down.
How do I explain? Punnett squares. Punnett squares. Okay, sweet. We will use Punnett squares to discuss how this works. Okay. Let's say, for instance, that this right up here, this top part is your mother. And this is your father over here. And this chart is examining how these two different DNAs mix together to form you. Now, before we get into this, I have to explain what dominant and recessive is, because I know we've had a problem with this in the past, where you've gotten this mixed up. Dominance does not mean that your father is overbearing or rules the house. Dominance in genetics means that his genes take priority over your mother's genes. And this can happen the reverse way as well.
Wow, so you're promising that my mom can be dominant too?
No. Okay. Dominance in genetics means that, we'll look at it this way. Let's say that your dad, right? He's a tall guy. Let's say that. But his parents weren't both tall. Your grandpa was tall and your grandma was short. Well, let's say that your grandma passed on to your dad short gene. To represent the short gene, we'll have a small t. But your dad passed on the tall gene to your dad. Now, this right here are two different sets, but your dad can't be both tall and short at the same time. Well, the reason why he's tall is because being tall is dominant over being short. Does that make sense? Like, this gene takes precedent over this one. If this was a small t, then he'd be short. But since it's a large t, it takes precedence over this one. Right?
Okay, so, alright, I understand. So if my father had two short t, yeah, in this case, so my father would have been short. And then, but this case, he has one big T and over small t, and big T is dominant, which is representing tall trait, so that's why he's tall. Understood?
Yes, that's right. Your father has a dominant tall gene and a recessive small gene. So since the tall gene is dominant, he's tall. Now, the only way that he could be short is if he had had two recessive small genes, but he doesn't. However, let's say that your mom does. Let's say that your mom is short, and that's because she has two recessive small genes. So that's what it looks like. Now, the Punnett square shows how these match together. So your father, who has one tall dominant gene and one short recessive gene, and your mother has two short recessive genes. So here's how it's going to look. Wait a second. Before I explain this to you, we need to go over some terms. Okay. So first of all, there's two different terms for this. They call heterozygous and they also call it homozygous. That is an S. Okay, heterozygous means that there are two different types, meaning that they're not the same. They have one tall and one small. But homozygous means that the two genes are the same that are being passed down. Okay, so here we go. This is how it blends together. This T will go in this box and in this box. And this T will go in this box and in this box because they're on the same row. Now mother, her genes will be going down. So this will be going in this box and that one will go in that box. Okay, now this is how they match up. So from your mother and your dad, there will be 50% that will be tall and heterozygous. So let's just say HET for short. And then there's going to be 50% that are going to be short. But they're going to be homozygous. Does that make sense?
Wait, I want to try this out.
Okay. So,
yeah, I'm going to think of an example of different hair colors.
okay.
So here we go. A square. Okay. All right. Okay. Here is gonna be father and mother, and we say the father has.
Well, actually, here, do this.
What?
In my family, there's 4 brothers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The first 3 are brown hair, brown eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But my youngest brother, Robert, has blonde hair and blue eyes. So, show how that would be on the Punnett square.
Okay. So your father has brown hair and
Mhm.
brown eyes, and then brown hair, brown eyes.
Yeah, my mother and my father, they both have brown hair, brown eyes.
Okay.
In my family, Robert is the only one with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Brown hair, blue eyes.
Blonde hair.
Blonde hair. Oh, wait, hold on. So your mom has blonde hair
Mm-hmm.
and blue eyes.
Mm-hmm. No.
No. No.
Okay, so my mom and my dad both have brown hair and brown eyes. But me and James, and my brother Thomas, all 3 of us, we all have brown hair and brown eyes as well. However, the youngest brother, Robert, he has blonde hair and blue eyes. So how would we get that if both my parents have brown hair and brown eyes?
Okay, I understand. I think it would be so. Your father has a dominant B, which is big B, and a small b.
Mm-hmm.
And your mom has big B and a small b too. So, well, I think the case would be this B, okay, and like this, and like this. So only since when there are 2 recessive recessive allele
Mm-hmm.
will be showing the recessive trait. So that's why your brother Robert is the only one different from all of you guys.
Good job.